All right, let's get stuck into another conversation, of course. Now is next. Nigeria's latest inflation report for electricity, gas, and other fuels, which all make up the country's energy inflation index, rose to 16.8% for October. This is the highest rate since March 2017, when the rate stood at 18.9%. The inflation rate for this category increased to 16.8% in October 2022 from 16.4% September. The cost of paying for petrol, kerosene, and diesel rose from average 200 naira, now selling at around 800 naira per litre for diesel, while kerosene is selling as high as 950 naira at the pump, according to the NBS. While the increase in the cost of importation due to the persistent currency depreciation and a general increase in the cost of production continues to tighten, the daily energy consumption by Nigerians has continued to bite harder. All right, for further analysis, Emmanuel Onoja, Group Head, Research and Business Intelligence of GTI Group, joins us virtually. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you. Hello, Mr. Onoja, can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Anoja. Hello, can you hear me? Thank you for joining us. If you can hear me, thank you for coming on board on the show this morning.
Thank you.
Yeah. So first, let me get your opinion about the situation or concerning energy when it comes to access to petrol or access to diesel. It's quite hard, and especially with the price increase. So what is your thought about the continued energy inflation in the country?
Well, good morning, Frank.
Yeah, good morning.
Well, the situation, I would say it's quite peculiar to this market, and is riddled with all sorts of unnecessary bottlenecks that have brought us to this point. Now, energy inflation is not one that Nigeria should be dealing with, essentially, given that we are an energy producing country. But the reason why we're in this position is because we have become a more energy dependent country than we are an energy producing. You know, inflation, the bulk of the inflation is coming from being an import-dependent country, and energy, refined crude, especially being a
Can you hear me? If you can hear me, Emmanuel, well, I guess we're having an issue with that connection there. Okay, if you can hear me. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you clearly.
Okay, please continue with that thought.
All right, sorry. As I was saying, energy imports constitutes a large chunk of our import dependence in Nigeria. As of 2021, 31% of our imports were energy, and we can see what is going on. That is the position we still are in, because our local refining capacity is almost absent. So, and we are in a situation where the dollar is wreaking havoc in various economies, and Nigeria not exempted. We have seen a devaluation in our currency. So given the status quo, the fact that we have to bring in majority of our energy needs into the country, coupled with a devaluing currency, I mean, it is inevitable to see how we can actually escape this unwanted price increase in energy.
Okay. I mean, each time you have an increment on these commodities, you feel the impact and effects on the macroeconomic activities as well. So for you, as someone who is, who is following up on this development, what are the implications here, especially on livelihood and on the average Nigerian in the street?
Well, what inflation does essentially is redistribute wealth. So it redistributes wealth from fixed income earners, who are your normal, maybe salary earners and people running small businesses trying to make ends meet, and send it moves income to asset owners. So basically, people who own asset tend to enjoy this period because it is easier for them to increase their prices in tandem with with inflation prices. And what this does is we're essentially moving. In the case of Nigeria, we know that most of the fixed assets owned are properties. So basically, and fixed assets are such that they are dead assets in some sorts, because except you are putting it into other productive use, it doesn't really produce. So we are moving money into dead assets, that essentially money that should be moved, that could be used as factors of production, are now being moved into asset classes that have no real economic benefits. So basically, essentially what it is that it's going to cost me more to live here or to run my office from here. So, and the implication of that is that it's an opportunity cost. So if the money were to be put into productive use, it could have created more employment and more or less substitute some of these goods that we are highly dependent on and that we bring into this country. However, we are now parking the money in asset classes that are not really relevant. But the popular.
Let me say, Emmanuel, I was going to ask you. You talked about the fact that when there's inflation such as this, wealth are being redistributed, and so who are the beneficiaries of this redistribution of wealth? And when you talk about asset classification, so what type of asset are we looking at? Is it in the is it in the equities market, the fixed income market? So just talk to us more. Perhaps let's make sense of this in terms of redistribution of wealth.
Yes, essentially what I mean is, so because prices are going up, as a salary earner, for instance, my money is buying me less, right? But whoever is providing me with those, and in this case, let's use a house. You're a rental. You rent where you live. It is because your landlord owns the property. He doesn't need to make any new adjustments. He doesn't need to add any amenities. All he needs to do is increase prices because it is costing him more to do some other things. However, as the tenant who is just solely dependent on your salary, your income is not, given the current trends, incomes aren't really rising, especially in tandem with inflation. So what happens is that a large chunk of your income will go away for no real increased utility. So essentially, you are paying more for the same thing but
this time you're paying higher.
But you're paying higher, but your landlord it doesn't cost your landlord anything to charge you an increased amount. So your landlord is an asset owner, right? So this period benefits him, but you as a salary earner, you tend to lose more in this period. And most of this it's more it is more inclined to people who own properties as opposed to other security classes like you have.
Permit me to jump in here. I mean, some people have argued that this is a global trend as all countries have continued to witness surging energy costs as well. And so do you stand on that same position, or do you hold different opinion?
Well, I hold, well, as much as it's one of the contributors, it is not, this is a peculiar problem. There's a structural problem we have in Nigeria, If we want to look at this, inflation has risen steadily for 7 years. So between 2015 and 2022, inflation has risen, based on NBS numbers, 157%, And yes, we might be experiencing global shocks by trying to price out Russia from the oil market. However, it doesn't. In the case of Nigeria, we are supposed to benefit from that scenario. However, we are not, because we've moved from energy producer to energy dependent. So to put it all on just the Ukraine and Russia conflict, we will not.
So
really
it's not enough. Okay.
Now it is not enough. We still have structural issues to address.
Okay. Would you like to highlight some of these structural issues and how we can, address them head on? That's one. On the other side, if you follow a development in the week, the federal government has retreated its stand to remove subsidy by June 2023. So how worse can energy inflation get when that takes effect? And so let's look at these two issues.
Now, I guess the major step we can take towards easing these pressures will be, to improve local capacity to refine crude oil, which we are seeing in Dangote refinery. However, I think the government's date is predicated on the fact that refinery might be up and running before that time. However, if nothing changes and we still maintain status quo, there's not only going to be a petrol subsidy, there's also going to be an electricity subsidy, which makes it very which might come down very hard on Nigerians and on businesses. I don't think a lot of businesses or Nigerians will be able to, survive the pressure given, current prices. Except, the ideal approach would have been to, incentivize people to be able to incentivize the citizenry and businesses to be able to afford this, to their
perhaps the impact of inflation by the time.
The impact of inflation, exactly. So we have a situation. What we're experiencing currently is a cost push inflation. So a lot of our inflation problems are imported, right? Okay. Because we are an import-dependent country. Now, to be able to resolve that, we have to build local capacity to be able to create substitutes for a lot of these things that we bring to the country. So I'm...
Emmanuel. Well, I guess interruption there, but I think you just have to. We're going to wrap up now, looking at the fact that Nigeria is pursuing an energy transition plan at the moment. So I wanted to ask you, what are some of the things do you think you can begin to look at to put in place, especially now that inflations are here to stay and they are not ready to go away anytime soon, except we address some of these structural problems. So I want to ask you the things that we can look at the moment to address or to cushion, the immediate effects of this transition. Are you there? Hello, Emmanuel. Can you hear me? Well, I guess we lost touch with Emmanuel. But we'll have to call it, a day. But I wanted to wrap up, just to hear what you have to say on that note before we wrap up. But I mean, the internet, will still have to have its way. Okay. Thank you so much for. Okay, are you there?
For that.
Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. Since you are here, let's wrap up on that note. I wanted to get your thoughts on these. Remember that Nigeria is pursuing energy transition at the moment. So I wanted to get your opinion, what you think we can begin to look at to cushion the effect of that, especially the inflation, energy inflation now, what we should be looking at to address some structural problems. Let's wrap up with that.
Yeah. Well, I would say, I still go back to my point to have to be, there's no way out of it. We have to boost our local capacity so that we are not highly dependent on imports for especially energy needs. Gas, for instance, 70% of gas is imported, hence the rise, and that is a deregulated market. So is diesel, and we have seen what it has happened. So I think a lot of it will be in the area of trying to cost by increasing investments in refining capacities locally, so that we are not overly dependent on foreign refiners to be able to solve our energy needs.
I think we'll have to leave it there. Thank you for your time. Emmanuel Onoja is the Group Head, Research and Business Intelligence at GTI Group. Thank you for your time on Business Breakfast.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, you have a great day. Still to come after the break, President Muhammadu Buhari launches Nigeria's Vision 2050. Says the plan is a replacement for Vision 2020 agenda, which expired 2 years ago, as the government seeks to increase the country's per capita gross domestic product to $33,000 US. Oh, this is our focus next on the show as we take a closer look at prospect for growth ahead. Please stay with us.